Have you ever noticed how sometimes when you start to worry or you have some fears pop up, anxiety creeps in, that it starts to create these mental loops and then it can get stronger and faster and it's like it locks you in so that all you can do is focus on the things that you don't want to happen? I mean, of course, right? I think we've all experienced that. And so I'm curious if it would be helpful for you to have some tools and techniques to really stop that pattern in its tracks so that you no longer have that experience of being hijacked by big emotions and having it just pull you through your day or pull you into some really uncomfortable distress state or crisis state. Because I have one, I'm gonna in this video I want to share with you my favorite, my top technique that I use with all of my clients, at least for the last 3 or 4 years, that all these people who used to struggle with anxiety and overwhelm, and how this technique almost instantly gives them a sense of inner resourcefulness, some inner resourcing, some just sometimes just a sigh and a breath, because it breaks the spell of that fear and anxiety. And I want to share that with you today. Oh, and this is actually not a herbal remedy. So, hi, I'm Garlic with the Living Medicine Project. Maybe you know me because for the last 15 or so years, I've been teaching herbal medicine. I've been doing a lot of clinical work. Basically, people know me as the spiritual herbalism guy. And this video is a little bit different. Some of my recent videos have been a little bit different, and the trajectory of future videos is going to be not just about herbs. It's really um, going to be focused on this idea of helping people to take back control over that experience of feeling hijacked by their big emotions so they can have control over their lives again and have some choice. And without using fear, without using pharmaceuticals, without using fear, without using force, and without using pharmaceuticals, without pushing things down, pushing things away that they just don't want to experience. And so this is the first video in a series of videos that I'm going to make of these really practical tools to help you to shift that old relationship with anxiety, to really leave it in the past so that you can go into the future with a greater sense of empowerment and a greater sense of choice in any moment, so that regardless of how you're feeling, you actually have the tools to shift that and not just be bullied by that, right? So in this video, I'm going to share, like I said, my one favorite technique. I'm going to explain how to use it, how not to use it, and why it works so consistently, so quickly, and so effectively. So let's get to it here. So we've all had this experience of having our emotions, like I said, run wild on us, where we get locked into this idea of the thing that we don't want. We start to worry about it, and it gets bigger. Oh my God, what if that happens? And then sometimes it spins out. What if this happens? And then what if this happens? And it can be a real, dark night of the soul. It can take us um, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, into some really unpleasant places. And so this technique that I'm going to show you, uh, I'll share honestly too, is that when I first heard this technique, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because, and this is the how not to use this, because I thought it was a tool for suppressing my emotions. I thought it was a way to try to force myself to feel differently than I do. And the truth is that it's happened with a handful of my clients as well. In fact, I remember really clearly the first time I introduced this to a client, they were just like, I don't like this. I don't want to do that. And I was just like, okay, please trust me. I know what you're saying. For those of us who are empathic and compassionate, and we don't want to use force, we don't want to use models of power over, especially with our own emotions, which means we're avoiding things like suppression and avoidance. We're trying to greet ourselves compassionately and calmly, whatever is true that's coming up for us. And so I want to just name that right off the bat. When I ask this question, because that's what it is, it's a question. This first tool is a really potent question that you'll be able to ask in those moments when you're feeling anxious, or you'll be able to use this with other people. If you notice that they're kind of like locked into a particular way of thinking and they're focused on what they don't want to feel, what they don't want the outcome to be. And so it's just this. You can ask them, you can ask yourself. I actually have it written down on a cue card so that I just remember when I'm feeling anxious like that, all I need to remember is to go to the cue cards. And this is one of them. And it says on it, how would you rather feel? How would you rather feel? So just take a moment if you'd like to and consider something that you feel that you're worried about, that you feel some anxiety about, that you have some fear around. And just let your body feel how your body feels while you consider whatever that uncomfortable idea is. And then you can ask yourself the question, how would I rather feel? Or you can hear me ask you the question, how would you rather feel right now? And notice this. Notice that you immediately have some other answers. Okay, sometimes it's not always immediate. Sometimes the immediate answer is, I don't know. But that's great, because when you answer, I don't know, that's actually your unconscious mind telling you it's about to give you a valid answer, a really useful thing. It's just got a little block to it. So it's okay. Let yourself say, I don't know how I'd rather feel. And then you'll notice, oh, I'd rather feel calm. I'd rather feel happy. Often when we start with this practice, we just figure out what's the exact opposite of the thing that we don't want to be feeling, because we're still in that place. How do I not feel this way? So I'm just going to align it that way. But here's why this question works so well, is because it breaks the spell of that fear and anxiety. Because that fear and anxiety, often, especially when it starts to get ramped up inside us, inside of our thinking, inside of our bodies even, it's telling us that there's only one way that we can feel right now. And as soon as you ask the question, or as soon as somebody asks you the question, how would you rather feel right now? It breaks that spell. It helps you immediately to realize that this isn't the only way to feel, that there are other ways that I can feel, and more than that, that I used to feel and that I'm gonna feel. For those of you interested in brain science, this is it's about taking basically breaking the amygdala. You could say breaking our focus out of the amygdala. It's the part of our brain that's responsible for our bigger emotions. And when we're in our amygdalas, when our brains are functioning with a lot of electricity in our amygdalas, we can't actually think very well about the future or about the past or about the future. It seems like however we feel right now has always been how we felt and how we're always going to feel. And this question, how would you rather feel instead, becomes very profound because it instantly breaks that frame so that now we realize, hey, I can feel differently than I was feeling just a moment ago. In fact, it happens almost instantaneously, even if you don't have that new answer yet of how you'd like to feel. It already is putting how you were feeling in a different frame. And this can be used in lots of different ways. I actually had a client on a call yesterday who was feeling a great deal of pain, and they put it at a like 9 out of 10. And I asked this question, how would they rather feel? And their first answer, of course, was, well, I don't want to feel pain. It's okay, that's great. What do you want to feel? Other than pain, how would you rather feel instead? There's some variations on that question. You got to be supple here, be flexible. It means the same thing. Other than in pain, how would you rather feel instead? And they came up with light and free and easy. And then they sighed. And that pain, I checked in with them. So how does that pain threshold feel now? And it had dropped down below a 9. Now it wasn't very far. We had to do a bunch of other work till eventually we got them down to a 4 when the call was done. And that was tolerable for them at that point. We could have kept going, but we ran out of time. And like I say, we met that criteria for that was useful, that was tolerable for them at that point. And so it can be used in all sorts of different ways. I encourage you to play with it. And again, it's this piece of make sure you're not using it to force down or to push down or suppress those feelings that you don't want. You're not trying to get rid of the anxiety. You're just trying to open the door, stick your foot in the door to a new reality outside of that anxiety. It's like anxiety can feel like you're locked in a room and they hear the question, how would I rather feel right now? It's like that door opens and you can jam your foot in there and then start to look through and say, oh, there's a world outside of the anxiety that I was just feeling. And that helps to down-regulate the whole nervous system and help you to feel better. So please, I would love to hear how you're using this, whether you're a present client, a former client, somebody who's just heard this for the first time. play with it. Please leave your comments below on the YouTube page. And I've been Garlic with the Living Medicine Project. I will speak with you soon. Have a great day.